What if I told you that thousands of travelers are paying full price for cruises while a small group of savvy adventurers are sailing across entire oceans for a fraction of the cost? Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Yeah, right," hear me out, because this is not some sketchy internet scheme or a timeshare presentation in disguise. This is one of the cruise industry's most legitimate and gloriously underutilized secrets, and today we are pulling back the curtain completely. Welcome to the wonderful, wallet-friendly world of repositioning cruises. These are special sailings that let you travel longer distances, visit more corners of the globe, and spend dramatically less money than almost any other vacation option available to you right now. We are talking about the kind of deal that makes your well-traveled friends say, "Wait, how did you do that?" And yes, you will absolutely enjoy telling them. Whether you have never heard of repositioning cruises before, or you are simply curious about how they actually work, you have landed in exactly the right place. Think of this as your complete beginner's guide, your insider's playbook, and your permission slip to finally stop overpaying for travel, all rolled into one. By the end of this video, you will have everything you need to understand, find, and book one of these incredible voyages for yourself. So buckle up, or rather, let us set sail. Picture this. You're lounging on the deck of a massive ocean liner, cocktail in hand, watching the sun melt into the Atlantic horizon, and you paid less for this entire voyage than your neighbor paid for a long weekend in a mid-range hotel. Sound too good to be true? Welcome to the wonderfully weird world of repositioning cruises, the travel industry's best-kept secret that cruise insiders have been quietly exploiting for years while the rest of us were busy overpaying for everything else. If you've ever typed, "How do I travel more without selling a kidney?" into a search engine at 2 in the morning, congratulations, you've finally found your answer. Repositioning cruises are deeply discounted ocean voyages that happen when cruise lines need to move their ships between regions as the seasons change. And because those ships are sailing anyway, you get to come along for the ride at a fraction of the normal price. We're talking transatlantic crossings, Pacific passages, and epic one-way journeys between continents, all for prices that will make your budget travel-loving heart sing. In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about repositioning cruises, including what they are, why they're so cheap, where to find them, and whether they're actually the right fit for your travel style. Before we dive deeper into the world of repositioning cruises, let us talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant-sized ocean liner in the room. Search engine optimization, or as the internet likes to call it, search engine optimization again, because nobody actually shortens it in conversation, is how you are going to find these deals before everyone else does. Here is the thing. The cruise lines are not exactly taking out billboard advertisements screaming, "Hey, we have got a 12-night transatlantic crossing for $200, come get it." No. These deals live quietly on the internet, tucked away in the corners of cruise line websites and third-party booking platforms, waiting patiently for the travelers who know exactly what to type into a search bar. Think of it like a treasure hunt, where the treasure is a floating 5-star hotel and the map is your keyboard. The people who consistently score these jaw-dropping fares are not lucky, they are strategic. They know the right search terms, they know when to look, and they know which platforms surface the best inventory. So buckle up, because we are about to turn you into exactly that kind of traveler. So picture this. You book a cruise, you unpack once, and somehow you end up on a completely different continent. No, you did not accidentally board the wrong ship. You just discovered one of the best-kept secrets in travel, the repositioning cruise. These are sailings where cruise lines need to move their massive ships from one region to another as the seasons change. Think Mediterranean summers giving way to Caribbean winters, and rather than sailing those ships empty across entire oceans, the cruise lines do something rather clever. They sell you a ticket. And because filling a ship beats sailing a ghost town at sea, the prices they offer are genuinely jaw-dropping compared to standard cruises. We are talking about crossing the Atlantic Ocean, the actual Atlantic Ocean, for what some people spend on a long weekend city break. The catch, if you can even call it that, is that these sailings tend to have more sea days, meaning more days at sea with no port stop. But for the right kind of traveler, someone who enjoys the journey as much as the destination, that is not a bug. That is absolutely the feature. Now here is something that surprises a lot of first-timers. Repositioning cruises are not your typical week-long getaway. While most standard cruises run around 7 nights, repositioning sailings are a completely different animal. These voyages commonly run anywhere from 14 to 21 days, and some trans-Pacific or world segment crossings can stretch even longer than that. For certain travelers, that sounds like a deal-breaker. But for the right kind of person, that extended time at sea is honestly the whole point. Think about it this way. You are not rushing from port to port, trying to squeeze in every tourist attraction. Instead, you have genuine time to slow down, breathe, and actually decompress. Long sea days mean mornings on your balcony with coffee, afternoons by the pool, evenings at the theater, and absolutely zero alarm clocks. If you love reading, relaxing, meeting fellow travelers, or simply disconnecting from the noise of everyday life, those extra sea days are not a downside. They are the entire experience. So how do you actually find these repositioning cruises before everyone else snaps them up? Here is where a little digital savvy goes a long way. Search engines are your best friend here, but only if you know the right words to whisper into that search bar. Typing cheap cruises will get you approximately nowhere useful, buried under an avalanche of sponsored results for the same 7-night Caribbean loops you have seen 1,000 times. Instead, try searching for repositioning cruises, transatlantic repositioning deals, or one-way cruise itineraries, and suddenly the algorithm starts working for you rather than against you. Cruise line websites often bury these sailings under tabs labeled Special Sailings or Unique Voyages, which is frankly the most polite way anyone has ever hidden a bargain. Third-party booking platforms like 𝐬𝐵𝐾 have entire sections dedicated to repositioning sailings, sometimes listed at 60 to 90% below the original brochure price. Set up fare alerts, bookmark those pages, and check back regularly, because these deals move fast and the internet has no loyalty to the slow and the unprepared. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Since repositioning cruises take you from one region to another, you will end up somewhere completely different from where you started. That means you cannot simply drive home from the port. But here is the good news. This is very manageable with a little planning. The most straightforward solution is booking a one-way flight home from your ending destination. One-way flights have become much more affordable in recent years, especially with budget carriers. If you collect airline miles or credit card points, this is a perfect opportunity to redeem them. A one-way redemption often requires fewer points than a round trip, making it an excellent use of your rewards balance. Another approach is turning your ending port into its own adventure. If your cruise ends in Barcelona or Sydney, why rush home? Spend an extra week exploring before flying back. The logistics are simpler than they appear, and the payoff is absolutely worth it. Timing is everything when it comes to repositioning cruises, and knowing the seasonal windows gives you a serious advantage. The biggest opportunity comes in spring, typically between March and May, when cruise lines shift their fleets from the Caribbean back toward Europe ahead of the Mediterranean summer season. Then in fall, usually September through November, those same ships make the return journey westward across the Atlantic. These are the two most popular and widely available repositioning windows you will encounter. Beyond the Atlantic, you also have shoulder season movements for Alaska itineraries, where ships reposition from California up to the Pacific Northwest in late April and back down again in September. Asia itineraries follow similar patterns around October and April. As for booking, these sailings often appear on cruise line websites 6 to 12 months in advance, but last-minute deals do surface closer to departure. Starting your search early gives you the best cabin selection at the lowest available fares. So now that you know why repositioning cruises are such an incredible deal, the next question is, where do you actually find them? The tricky part is that cruise lines do not always advertise these sailings prominently. They are not splashed across the homepage like a Caribbean getaway deal. Your first move should be going directly to cruise line websites. Lines like Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Norwegian, Holland America, and Cunard all offer repositioning sailings. Look for sections labeled Special Sailings, One-Way Cruises, or filter by voyage length for anything over 14 nights. Next, consider working with a travel agent who specializes in cruises. These professionals know exactly when repositioning inventory drops and can alert you before deals disappear. Third-party platforms like Cruise Critic, Vacations to Go, and Cruise Direct also list these sailings and sometimes offer additional discounts. When searching, use terms like transatlantic cruise, trans-Pacific sailing, or one-way cruise to surface the right results quickly. Now let's talk real numbers, because the base fare is only part of the story. A repositioning cruise might run you around $50 to $70 per day for the cabin itself, which already beats most land-based vacations. But once you factor in daily gratuities, typically around $18 to $20 per person, onboard drinks, specialty dining, and any excursions at the handful of port stops, your actual daily spend might land closer to $100 to $150. Then there's the one-way flight home, which could add several $100s to your total budget. Even so, when you divide that full trip cost across 14 to 21 days, the per-day value remains remarkably strong. Compare that to a standard 7-night cruise at similar quality, which often runs $150 to $250 per day all in, or a European land vacation where hotels alone can exceed $200 nightly. Repositioning cruises still win on value, often by a significant margin. So who exactly is the ideal candidate for a repositioning cruise? The honest answer is that this style of travel is not for everyone, and that is perfectly fine. The traveler who thrives on a repositioning cruise is someone who has flexibility with their schedule, genuinely enjoys spending time at sea without needing a port stop every single day, and is not locked into a rigid return flight back home. If you can leave on a specific date and figure out the return logistics without stress, you are already ahead of the curve. Now, two groups of travelers have a particularly strong advantage here. Retirees who have the time and schedule freedom to commit to a 14 or 21-day sailing without workplace constraints, and remote workers who can quite literally work from the ocean while the ship moves across the Atlantic or Pacific. If either of those descriptions sounds like you, repositioning cruises might honestly be one of the smartest travel decisions you could make. Now that you know repositioning cruises are worth considering, let us talk about how to get the absolute most out of one. First, book a cabin with a balcony. When you are spending multiple consecutive days at sea, having your own private outdoor space transforms the experience entirely. Watching the open ocean from your balcony with a morning coffee is genuinely one of travel's great pleasures. Second, pay close attention to onboard credits. Cruise lines frequently sweeten repositioning deals with extra spending credits, sometimes hundreds of dollars, because they want to fill those cabins. These credits can cover specialty dining, spa treatments, or shore excursions. Third, And this is important. Do not rush home the moment the ship docks. You have just crossed an ocean or a continent. Whether you arrive in Barcelona, Sydney, or somewhere equally spectacular, build in extra days to actually explore. You have already done the hard part getting there, so make it count. Now let's be honest and tackle the concerns people often raise about repositioning cruises because they deserve real answers. First, boredom on sea days. If you need constant stimulation, this style of travel may challenge you. But as we covered earlier, cruise lines genuinely ramp up programming on these sailings. Lectures, cooking classes, live entertainment, fitness activities, and simply unwinding with a book on your balcony fill the days beautifully. Second, the one-way logistics. Yes, it requires a little extra planning, but booking a one-way flight home is genuinely straightforward. Many travelers actually turn the arrival destination into an extended land adventure, making the logistics feel like a bonus rather than a burden. Third, the misconception that lower price means lower quality. That simply is not true. You are sailing on the exact same ship, eating the same food, and receiving the same service. The price is lower because the cruise line needs to move the vessel, not because anything is compromised. To really understand the value here, let's stack repositioning cruises against other popular budget travel options. Say you're backpacking through Europe, staying in hostels averaging around $30 to $40 per night. You're still paying separately for every meal, every train ticket, and every activity. Budget airlines might get you across the Atlantic for a low fare, but you're cramped, nickel and dimed for bags, and dropped into a city with zero amenities included. Now compare that to a repositioning cruise where your daily rate can fall between $50 and $100, and that covers your cabin, all meals, entertainment, fitness facilities, and thousands of miles of travel. You're not sacrificing comfort to save money. You're actually upgrading your experience while spending less per day than many backpackers do. For travelers who think cruising is only for luxury budgets, repositioning sailings genuinely flip that assumption on its head and make ocean travel surprisingly accessible. So here's the bottom line. Repositioning cruises are one of the most underrated travel opportunities available today. You get to cover incredible distances, sometimes crossing entire oceans, at a fraction of what a standard cruise would cost. We are talking savings of 50 to 70%, with meals, accommodation, and entertainment all included. The experience itself is genuinely unique, more relaxed, more immersive, and far more rewarding than a rushed week-long itinerary. And with the flexibility to choose your route, your season, and how you plan your return, this style of travel fits more people than you might expect. Whether you are retired, working remotely, or simply someone who values real adventure over convenience, a repositioning cruise deserves serious consideration. Do not wait for this secret to go completely mainstream. Head over to your favorite cruise line website or travel agent today, search for upcoming repositioning sailings, and take that first step toward booking the trip of a lifetime.